Okay, so this is maybe following up on Mr. Kenny's question a little. If by your own calculations, budget's going down 78,000, and I thought it might be going down as much as 100, but it's going down a lot. In a world where we thought we would have retro pay plus the current year pay, I would have thought it might have been going up closer to 100. Again, I don't know the number, but we're losing one person that we're not going to replace, but there's a difference, I think, of close to $180,000 using your numbers.
By retro pay, are you referring to contract negotiations?
Yeah,
Okay, as previously discussed, those wouldn't necessarily appear in the salary and wage line because we are in the middle of negotiations and you don't want to put out there exactly how much you are saving for. So that would not appear in the salary and wage line.
And just out of the point, the retro pay on 2023 will go against 2023, not against 2020.
Correct.
okay, so how is the council to know what, we're approving a budget, how are we supposed to know what that number is?
What numbers?
Okay,
We had an
okay,
executive session in April where I stated the percentage that the borough could take on. And that information has not changed since that executive session.
okay, but we'd also, okay. So somewhere buried in the budget, unidentified, is that extra money? It's just not identified?
Correct, and this has been previously discussed.
I'm sorry, but that, you gave me a percentage. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't have a baseline, so it didn't mean a lot to me. I've subsequently looked up what the baseline would be only for DPW, at least one of whom is not in the local 152. But you, okay. The bottom line is, if there's a number, I don't care if it's 0 or 50,000 or 500,000, we should have been, we, the council, should have been told, you know, where that is or how to look for it so we could, because if it's buried somewhere else, and I'm looking at something else going, wow, that looks really high, while I'm telling you DPW salaries look really low. None of us would be having this debate if you had just told us where the dollars were and roughly what they were. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, for what little it's worth, we're something between, I'm thinking, I was thinking, and I still believe if I could find my number, that we might be looking at a swing of 200,000, but even using the teams, the budget team's number of 78 and my number of 100 in the other direction, roughly $180,000 off. And that doesn't sound like the difference in one employee. Now, again, I've just learned that numbers are buried elsewhere, but I need to ask this question because the mayor had talked, and this is all part of DPW. The mayor talked about austerity plan, and earlier we mentioned we chose not to rehire one person. Given the people we've lost, given this structure of DPW today, can we continue to deliver the same level of services to residents that we've been doing, or is the administration making a unilateral decision to cut services without talking to the council?
No, the administration believes that the DPW can adequately be staffed with this proposed budget.
And has the administration making that decision, have they talked to the supervisor of DPW?
Yes.
Of course,
Yeah.
we have. Yes,
Of course you have.
yes, of course we have.
Well, I'm asking only because if they can deliver the same level of services down, well, I don't know how much. I thought it was $180,000. And I know that 2 of the people they've lost have CDL licenses. And my understanding is we need CDL licenses to move snow. How many CDL licenses do we currently have in the DPW?
Yeah, June.
Yeah, it's, say, probably, currently right now, we got about maybe 10, 11.
We have 10 or 11 people who can plow snow? You're saying?
They all could plow snow, it's what type of vehicles that they're in.
Okay, so I had heard through a source that we lost 2 CDL licenses, but you're saying we have sufficient CDL licenses to continue to? We don't.
No, we lost 3 men in over a year and a half. I was told that we were gonna hire 2 of them back. In that case, that we should be properly staffed.
Mhm.
With two.
And Biagio, I don't know if the rest of the room can hear you, so I'm repeating just to clarify. But you are not adequately staffed now, but if you hire 2 people back, you would be.
Close, yes.
And you could, with 2 people hired back, you could deliver the same level of services you've been delivering.
With 2 people back, yes, it would be, it's still a challenge because it's not just about snow, Councilman. It's more than that. It's sanitation, it's everything that we do. Right now, we don't have the right people on the right jobs. And we did hire somebody, town was good enough to help us out with that, but we're having a challenge finding CDL drivers at the salaries that, you know, a small town can justify. So we did hire about a laborer, and that's basically where we're at, without a CDL.
Okay,
We hope
because,
that he's able to obtain, but that's, you know, it's up in the air.
so I'm not gonna put you on the spot. Do not answer this question, but the question racing through my mind is. Sounds like your belief might be different than the administration's belief, who moments ago told me. You are adequately staffed and you can continue to.
No, I said with this proposed budget,
With this
Councilman, I
proposed
said
budget.
with this proposed budget will adequately staff the DPW.
Okay.
That was my
So
statement.
we're in the process of hiring people and trying to recruit people. What's in the budget is, we believe, an adequately staffed.
I need to understand it, Mr. Mayor.
I
You
thought
can't,
we
you
just
cannot say, this is our one chance to ask questions and our one chance to vote.
Right,
And you can't keep saying, we believe, we believe. I need to know. I see numbers going down 70,000, 78,000. I thought it was 100. Pick a number in that 80,000 range. Going down when I thought we would at least be replacing these people. You're somehow going down, saying it's reasonable. And somewhere buried in this budget that none of the council members understand is whatever that difference is of last year's retro pay and this year's pay, which is now retro pay. So there's a big gap here that we don't understand. And if I'm gonna vote for this budget, I need somebody's assurance, and it's probably gotta be you, Mr. Mayor, that our DPW is gonna be adequately staffed and compensated. If we can't hire people, then all of the residents are gonna blame the council when we say we're moving to, you know, no snow removal or garbage pickup every other week or whatever. We are not voting on cutting services.
we're not voting on, we do not have service cuts in this budget. We have adequate staffing in this budget. As I said, we're in the process of recruiting some people. What's reflected in this budget is no change in services.
And yet our supervisor, and all we have is your admission that you've talked to the DPW supervisor. But he is sitting here telling us he's not
I
adequately
spoke to
staffed.
Meredith.
Okay,
Yeah, she did tell me that when this budget's approved, that we'll have that opportunity to hire another individual.
at what pay level do you need? Roughly,
Councilman, I don't know yet, because so far we've been denied by some CDL, you know, licensed individuals. They can't come for the salary that a small town could provide. For the starting salary that a small town could provide. So,
okay,
I mean, you know, really, it should be like at least 45, between 45 and 50,000 to hire a CDL licensed operator with experience.
and compared to,
And I didn't get a chance to really have that discussion, you know, with.
and I didn't get a chance to have this discussion with you. So communication all around would have been helpful over the last 5 minutes. Okay,
So is your question answered that we have an adequate amount of dollars to cover our current services?
well, not in these budget numbers, but somewhere buried elsewhere in the
In
budget.
our 2024 budget.
Can you give me a hint as to what categories the numbers are buried in?
Mr.
Please.
Gubitosi, if I can,
Please, I would.
if
like
you want to
answer.
raise this, you ought to request a closed session to be able to discuss it under contract negotiations. But I believe even your borough attorney would agree that to discuss that publicly puts the municipality at risk in terms of reaching a reasonable settlement in contract
I understand
negotiations,
that.
period.
I understand that. Mr. Fehrenbach, for 5 months, we've asked this question, and we could have easily done it in private session. So please don't explain to me now, I need to go to private session. I've been asking this question more or less for 5 months. Okay.